Hello, I'm Rick with Workman Communications. Today we're going to show you how to wire in a speaker with these little blanks that you see on your ceiling. First thing you're going to want to do is put down plastic. That way there will be dust and a bunch of sheetrock particles that do fall on this. So you're going to want to definitely lay plastic down. The next thing you're going to want to do is find the stud. A couple ways you can do that is remove this blank. There should be a speaker wire inside of this. First way is with a stud finder. Always do it twice. To be on that side there. I usually drag it on both sides. You only get to make one cut. These boxes that are here are attached to a stud, so you know the stud is on one side or the other. It looks to be on this side. I'm going to take my little screwdriver and just confirm. Again, you get to make one cut. So I'll stick my little screwdriver in there, and yes, I see a piece of 2x4 right here. Next thing you want to do is take your template. All cut-in speakers use its template. If you're not using a flush mount speaker, you'll take a little hole, drill a little hole in this faceplate, or find a faceplate with a hole in it, and have your speakers hang and mount to the stud. You're going to take your template and you're going to put it right over that hole. You're going to have a little gap. You're going to go right up to the edge of that thing. You're going to have a little gap on both sides. Let me see. And you can trace it out. So there can be a little gap. You don't need it to be fully covering all the holes. You can have a little gap in there and it'll be fine. Your speaker will have a grill on it. Will give you about a ½ inch. You can overdo it. So you want to make sure it's all nice and square. You have the same thing on each side. Trace out your speaker. And start the cutting. I always use a jab saw. I'm not fancy on tools. One reason being is because if I feel something in the attic, I know to stop. One of these other speakers, there was a water pipe up above. So I was able to feel that and stop and not drill through a plastic water pipe that all these new homes are done with now. So you just cut it out. I like to leave this little plane up in the customer's attic just in case they ever want to sell the house, get rid of the house, take their speakers. We know that this thing is up in that attic and they can put it back in there to block the hole. It's kind of a little cheap. Good times, again, another water pipe. There'll probably be water pipes on this whole line over here. So you gotta be careful with that. Next thing I do is you'll pop out this blue box. Be very careful. You always wanna go away from the sheetrock. You can use a screwdriver if you want, but always go away from the sheetrock. Trim your speaker wire. This should all be a standard 16 gauge 2 conductor. Sometimes it'll be a 16-4. Here we got 16-2. We'll trim our little speakers. You don't want a lot of trim out, just a little bit there. We'll grab our speaker. Today we're installing some Origin speakers. You'll put color for color. Put your speaker in. Another important step is to make sure these little tabs here, all speakers have a little wing thing. on them. That when you tighten them up, they'll flip out and swing out for you. Make sure you don't have one lined right up with the stud. You want to make sure they're kind of off. That way when they do open, they don't hit that stud. Take your drill. And tighten them up. You do not want to over tighten. Just snug. Boom. Grab our grill. Most grills are all magnetic. Another thing we do is we always point the tweeter to the middle of the room for best sound. And we can adjust our sound field and all that fun stuff with the receiver. That's what we all do. But point the tweeter to the middle of the room for the best quality sound. Put your little grill on, and you're good to go. Again, this video is brought to you by Workman Communications. My name is Rick Workman.